what I would like to do, and to me, one of the most important things for my district is to make sure that our roads are safe. Number one. Number two, operable, so that we can get from A to B quickly and efficiently every day of the week. So what I'd like to do at this time, and I haven't done this ever before, but I think it's a good idea, because we are a community. Even you may live in St. Andrews, you may live in Meisner or Lotus, but we still use the same roads. We probably all shop at the same Publix, and we probably see each other for a drink over at Delray Marketplace. So we are a community. I would like to pass the microphone, and I'd like to have folks just say your first name and what community you live in. Is that okay? Okay. We're going to start with this table because you guys are right in the middle. All right? And we're going to start with you. And then when it's done, just pass it to the next gentleman.
My name is Stephen Schwartz. I live in Valencia Cove.
Michael, Valencia Cove.
Ted, Valencia Cove.
I'm Art, Lotus.
Steve, Valencia Cove.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Scott, Seven Bridges.
Seven Bridges.
Brad.
Arnold, Meisner.
York, The Bridges.
David, The Bridges.
Lori, Vinicor. Tierra Del Rey.
Hi, I'm Tony Meisner.
Hi, Mark. Live in Canyon Springs, but work at Meisner.
Robert, Seven Bridges.
Jack Kenny, Seven Bridges.
Mike, Seven Bridges.
Eileen, Seven Bridges.
Joe, Seven Bridges.
Joe, Valencia Bay.
David, Valencia Reserve.
Thank you. Barbara Roth, Cobra. I live in Bellagio, and it's close to Lyons Road, but in Cobra, we're very proud to represent all of these Valencias along Lyons Road. Thank you.
Rick Stopek, Meisner Preserve.
Good morning, Sherry Scarborough, West Boca Community Council. We're proud to represent West Boca. I live in Boca Isles North in West Boca.
Joel Miller, Valencia Sound. Erwin Cohn, Valencia Bay.
Cheryl Dodds, Valencia Isles, Cobra Secretary.
John Walt, I serve at Divine Savior on Lyons Road. I live in 10X Del Rey.
Good morning, Lenny, Valencia Sound.
Marshall, Valencia Sound.
I'm not quite sure which community has the more people here, but I'm very impressed that you all have come out and that you know that we all have an issue. I also wanted to impress upon you that you're leaders in the community. Sherry Scarborough, who is the head of West Boca Community Council. We have Cobra, Barbara Roth, and the executive secretary from Cobra, and also the traffic engineer, the traffic director from Cobra, who is represented here. And we have Lori Vinicor, who's the president of the Alliance. So not only are you talking about what is issuing at your community, you also have community leaders here. And I want you to certainly introduce yourself, if you're new, to those community leaders so that you're able to get involved in the community action. Because as a county, what's very important to us is numbers. If there's only one person who's upset in a community, it's okay. But if there's 10 or 15 or 20, then it's even more important for us to deal with. So we are being filmed so that we can show this to folks who can't be here today. And I hope that doesn't upset anybody. It's a public meeting. Our doors are always open. Anybody can come in at any time and discuss these issues with us. Right now, I would like to pass the microphone to the folks who are behind me. These folks here are our engineers. We have the head engineer, the assistant engineer. I just hope nothing happens out in Palm Beach County while you all are here. I hope the lights are working and everything is going well, because here you have the heads of the Department of Palm Beach County engineers. And I want to impress upon you, too, that this is the largest county. This is the largest county in the state of Florida. We're not Union or Dixie County or Wakulla. This is the largest county geographically and in terms of numbers in the 67 counties. So they have a tremendous responsibility. But they are here today to address your issues. So I'm going to start with the head chief engineer for the county. I'm not going to tell you his name, but I just want you to know that he's a graduate of Annapolis.
Dave Riggs, County Engineer, Director of Engineering and Public Works.
Good morning, Joanne Keller, the Deputy County Engineer.
Good morning, Mo Arthur, Director of the Traffic Division.
Good morning, Albert Hoffman, Director of the Construction Coordination Division.
And I'm Tom Castano. I'm with MJC Land Development.
Thank you. Tom is not a county engineer. Tom is the head of the development company that is working on Lyons Road from Clintmore to Atlantic. And we've had, Tom has come to a couple of our community meetings, and I very much appreciate that he's here today to answer specific questions. So, before we get started, we have a little show. It's, I'd say a video, but it's not really a video. It's just a couple of slides I want you to see. So before we get started, if anybody wants any good food over here on the right-hand side, this time Ed Saul, who's sitting outside, he went to Flakowitz because Cobra had some of the best muffins I've ever had. So instead of getting Dunkin' Donuts, we got Flakowitz for everybody. Okay, so Joanne, why don't you go ahead and start? And you can even dim the lights a little more if we have, dim it a little bit more. Thank you, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning. We prepared a slide. We prepared a little presentation to show you the history of Lyons Road and how we got to where we are today. As we mentioned, we're all with the Engineering and Public Works Department, or we work with them, like MJC. And we're going to go through a few aerials that show the timeline for Lyons Road. This first one is from 2005, back when Lyons Road was largely a farm road, and most of the area between Clintmore Road and Atlantic Avenue was actively being farmed. Lyons Road was a 2-lane roadway and addressed the needs of the farming and agricultural community. Come 2013, GL Homes had begun construction of the bridges, and they were approved for 591 residential units in that neighborhood. By 2015, GL Homes had begun development of 7 bridges, consisting of 701 residential units, and by 2019, both of those communities were built out. Palm Beach County Engineering and Public Works is responsible for Lyons Road construction. By 2023, GL Homes had built out both communities to the south as well, that's Boca Bridges and Lotus on the east. Boca Bridges is 504 units, and Lotus is 525 units. And construction for Lyons Road began in January 2021. The Lyons Road widening project was to accommodate the extra traffic from the 2,321 units built in those 4 neighborhoods. Because of all the new units along Lyons Road, our county engineering department faced numerous difficulties in widening the road. Embedded in the roadway were FPL power lines, internet lines like Comcast and AT&T, as well as gas, water, and sewer lines. The project became very complex and time-consuming because of these previous uses. We're happy to report that we've made great progress recently. So as of January 18th, these are some pictures adjacent to, On the left, you can see it's the Seven Bridges entrance, and on the right, it's the new bridge that was constructed and recently opened to traffic, and that's just south of Seven Bridges and the Bridges. And then as of yesterday, we had some additional paving work done, and you can see the paving completed adjacent to Stone Creek on the picture on the right. And then this brings us to the long-term big picture view of Lyons Road. Mayor Sachs had asked us for information about Lyons and whether it was planned for any widening all the way to Broward County, and I'm happy to report that Lyons Road has been on our thoroughfare identification map for years. It is constructed all the way down to Broward County line, at least 4 lanes all the way south from Clintmore Road, and in some areas already been widened to 6. Do you want to touch on that, Escondido?
Yes, over the years we have added so many traffic control devices on Lyons Road on the S curve, that's south of Grace Road and Escondido neighborhood, and including lately we installed the radar speed feedback sign that hopefully will help reduce speeds through that section. We also added signs, chevrons to help drivers navigate through the curve. We have quite a few accidents in that, along that curve. So what we see now from all what has been done, and especially after the state rebuilt that S-curve for us, that the number of accidents has come down drastically, and we hope that this would be bringing it to a safer navigation through that corridor. Okay. On Lyons Road, just north of Glades Road, we had 2 communities that were approved for GL homes. One of them just west and south of the high school, Olympic High, and also recently another development had been approved. I believe yesterday it was approved on the east side of Lyons Road in front of the school. That development would be a multi-family development. We were asked to provide some additional information about the traffic along that corridor with adding the John's West community that I just spoke about, west of the school and south of the school, which would have its primary access just south of the school, and that access will be restricted. There will be no lefts out of the community from that at that point. Just north of there is now a school signal that provides access, I believe, for students on the high school. That access will also be shared, or that signal will be shared with the future community on the east side, the multifamily homes. And they will have also a secondary access further north that lines up with the current bus loop access to the school. Hopefully that will distribute traffic as it goes through that corridor. Generally, traffic or Lyons Road in that area is under capacity. We have obviously issues during the 20 to 30 minutes every morning when school starts, and that's not unusual. Everywhere else would have the same. We have done some or agreed with the developer, and we gave them condition on how to handle traffic during the morning hours when they open up their community on the east side. I think that's it.
And yeah, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, I also want to let you know that the Executive Assistant County Administrator is here, Patrick Rudder, sitting right over there in the white shirt. And I want to thank my staff. I've got Janet in the red shirt back there, and Vivian over here. Do not shake her hand. She broke her wrist. but she's pretty good at feng shui, so you have to be very careful with Vivian. And of course, I have Albert Medina in the back and Ed Saul in the back there too. I think maybe why don't we take this geographically, from going from the south to the north, and let's start with Lyons Road, which begins at the Broward County, Palm Beach County line. I know Sherry Scarborough represents that area, and Sherry, do you want to come on up here with me for a minute? Is there anybody who lives in that area of Escondido? Sherry, why don't you tell us a little bit about the issues that your constituents are having? You can take this one if you'd like. Is that live? Okay, take this one. This is Sherry Scarborough. She's the president of the West Boca Community Council, which represents that area. You know, when you come from the Broward line, you're coming up into Palm Beach County on Lyons Road. There's that big curve, okay? And that has had a lot of issues because there's development right up to the street. So we have been working on that for a while. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that, okay?
So we've had numerous accidents. We've had deaths at that intersection at Timbers and Escondido. And we've asked the county to put in a red light, which we were denied because the traffic count doesn't warrant it. Then we did ask for, and finally in the past month, received the radar sign that flashes your speed when you're going through. How much was that sign? Do we know?
The cost, or?
The cost of the sign.
Almost $30,000.
How much?
30. There are two of them.
Okay, because I just purchased those signs for $3,000 for a community right across the street. So, I think it's something that we can certainly utilize more, but at a more reasonable price. However, even though that the speed limit sign is in and the radar sign's in, we've still had accidents. We had one, I believe it was on Sunday, and the accidents seem to occur when residents are leaving either the Timbers or Escondido when they're trying to get across the 4 lanes. And the traffic, they're still speeding, even though it's flashing that you're speeding, they're still speeding. I know we have the same problem with Bristol Point and Meisner, but nonetheless, we still have an issue. The residents are still calling, they're still complaining, and of course, Sunday, I got 5 phone calls and text messages about yet another accident involving a motorcycle. I don't know how badly they were injured, but nonetheless, the issue is trying to get across Lyons Road. And I know when the state or when the county, I'm trying to think who the county engineer was at that time.
George?
Yes. When that was George's last big project, was trying to redesign that, and it's a problem. And yes, there's houses that are probably 15 feet from the road. Many of these houses have had cars in their backyards. Their front entrances have been damaged, so we still have an issue there. We have an issue, and appreciate your help and appreciate you getting that radar sign.
Thank you so much. Now, I pulled up a slide for this area. I want you to notice something with me. By the way, I'm not an engineer. And that's a good thing. You see how the houses are right up against the road? Okay. That was the way that developments went years ago. And the curve is I don't think it's the best engineering way to construct this road. I think if we could do it again, I would widen that road and take off a whole neighborhood of houses all along there. In fact, they wouldn't have been built there. Right? But this is what we have today. Now, we're not going to take those homes away. People live there. They raise their families there. But we have a situation with the road. So we do as much as we can, and we have put in there, Mo, I'm going to have you tell us exactly what we put there to try to slow people down. Now, and then I'm going to tell you what's missing in this picture. Mo, why don't you get up and tell us would you be the appropriate person to tell us what we put there?
That's fine.
Go ahead.
So we put a lot of things, actually. We put warning signs, what we call them hidden intersection signs, with the name of the cross streets underneath it. approaching the curve from both sides. We also followed up with putting flashers on top of those signs to bring attention of drivers. We put warning signs about the curvilinear alignment of the road approaching both approaches. We added chevron signs that you can see them here in the median and also on the outside to help navigate and help drivers stay on the road. We also put finally those speed radar feedback signs. Before that, we added some crossbars in the pavement marking to give the illusion of the drivers that they are driving at higher speeds than they actually are, which typically would induce drivers to slow down. We also added raised pavement markers along the curve itself. We still have some accidents, and we'll continue probably to have some accidents each time we have an accident, we get the police report and we analyze it and we study it to see what went wrong and what could we do to mitigate in respect of engineering intervention. And almost always the cause of the accident is people are distracted. Often they are younger kids or drivers who have not been paying attention, and they end up, losing control of their vehicle. Also, there were times when people were just simply getting out of those communities, violating the right-of-way of the drivers on Lyons Road. Now, I want to caution, I know residents have been wanting a traffic signal there, and the excuse is the accidents. Well, we know for a fact that if we were to put a signal up there, I can assure you, you will have more accidents. Signals do not reduce accidents. They are well-known, documented, based on research in the biggest federal standard document that we use for traffic. We consider it the Bible for traffic, which is called the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. That's a federal document. We call it, in short, MUTCD. Probably you have heard this before. It warns over and over of that the signals should not be used as mitigation to reduce accidents. Signals are known to cause more accidents than less. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Accidents happen at intersections when one driver from one approach violates the right-of-way of the other. So with the two-way stop, you have the few drivers that come on the side street know all the time that they have to stop. And when they do not stop, then the accident happens. So imagine when you have it as four-way stop, which is a signal, is a version of an all-way stop, because all the approaches will stop at one point. They will have red at one point. So you have the likelihood of the thousands of people on the main street running the red light. And that would be a precursor for an accident. So it makes sense, but that data shows it again, that when you have signal versus two-way stop, you will have more accidents. So we need to stop thinking that the solution for the accidents along this corridor and at that intersection is to put a signal. To the contrary, it will increase the likelihood of accidents.
So what we've done there so far is we put those, when you're on I-95 or the turnpike and your car goes a little bit over to the edge, you hear the bump, 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 bump. What are those called? Thank you. Rumble sticks. I hit rumble some. All right, rumble sticks. We put that on this road. We've put a indication of how fast you're going on that road. And we have put caution curve. Now, anybody here drive when you were 16, 17 years old? Okay, so did I. Sometimes this encourages kids. Oh, this is a curve. It's like Dead Man's Curve, Jan and Dean years ago. So I think a lot of the accidents that occur in our county are occurring up here, not on the road. So my background is prosecution. There's one thing missing in this picture. You know what's missing? You tell me. Highway patrol. Highway patrol. You want to stop kids and folks from speeding after we've done everything that we can legally? Then we take care of them. Florida Highway Patrol. And Rick Bradshaw, our sheriff, has assured me that he's going to put somebody over there. And by golly, we're gonna make sure they go to traffic court, and they're going to pay the fine, or they're going to lose their license, because that's what's missing from this picture. Now, when it comes to lights, intersection lights, my grandparents loved an intersection light because they said, "This way, Maria, I know when I'm supposed to stop." I said, "Grandpa, you should know that when you're supposed to stop anyways, because it's an intersection." But they like to see that red light. Now, in this country, we have a national standard. That is, if you go to Brooklyn or Sioux City, Iowa, or Los Angeles, okay, everything is going to be standard. Can you imagine if you went to some places and they had different colored intersection lights in this country? No, everything is red, yellow, and green. Why? Because we're America. And the feds really promote this, and they have these standards, and we can't go against them. Now, maybe Texas does. I'm not sure. I haven't checked. But we have to have the standard. And so putting an intersection light there is not going to happen. What is going to happen is we're going to get more law enforcement. So, Sherry, I hope that helps. I know that you've been a big proponent for safety over there. And unfortunately, a lot of the kids are the ones who have it. Come on up and respond.
I've got to say Captain Moss has been wonderful. And yes, we've had a lot of enforcement. Rumble strips, I've been over that. I don't think there's rumble strips.
So what we
you
installed there
certainly don't feel them.
Yeah, raised pavement markers. Those
So they're pavement markers.
along,
It's
along
not
the
rumble
lane line.
strips.
Yes, and we put more of them at close spacing, so that when a driver changes lanes, they will go over them, and there are so many of them.
Okay.
That's what.
Yeah, so it's not rumble. It's the white, the white lining that everybody's like, what does this mean?
Reflects at night. Yeah.
Okay.
When you, yeah.
So maybe we can get rumble strips. Maybe that would help.
Sherry, do you want rumble sticks?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to get you rumble sticks.
Rather.
Okay? No. I want rumble sticks there.
Strips.
That way, strips.
Rumble strips.
We'll get those too. Okay,
And a
good.
red light.
We got. No. You talk to Pete Buttigieg. If Pete Buttigieg comes down here, who's the Secretary of Transportation, and maybe we can charm him to put you a light there, and that'll be fine. But until that happens, we'll get those tough ones things. And if the folks complain, I'll give them your number. Okay. So that is our first problem with Lyons Road, and what's interesting is that's exactly where it starts, right there at the Broward County line. Okay, let's move north, and the next area of Lyons Road that is of concern comes into the area by Clintmore Road. Is that no? Okay. All right, here we are. All right, now most of you live between Clintmore Road and Atlantic. How many of you do? Okay. I live there too. I'm right there. Those of you who live at Lotus, I'm in your backyard. Okay, I see you, and you probably can see into Horseshoe Acres. So, Lyons Road between Clintmore and Atlantic has been a big issue. And I wanted to show you why it was a big issue. It was a big issue because we developed communities, beautiful communities. Let me see some of those communities. You might see your house there. Beautiful communities, okay, on a road that is really built for farmers. And so all of a sudden we have, how many in that community again? Of all those communities between those two, 2321. That's not residents, those are units. And every house probably has 2 cars. When the kids visit, you got 3 and 4 cars. Right? And all those cars are going out on a farmer's road. So it has taken us a while to get this thing together. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce you to the head contractor who's working on this road. And he's been working on this road for a number of years. And I hope we're at the conclusion of this. Tom, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us where your business is based and how it looks so far.
Yeah, I'm Tom Castano with MJC, and we are located right in Loxahatchee. Our main office is right there, and we started the project, it's got to be going on 2.5 years ago, and we've been hand-in-hand teamwork with the county. We came a lot of hurdles. South of the bridge was a big hurdle, and we went through that, and we pulled that together without going out and having to rebid all the work. And right now we're southbound lanes from about, I'm going to say Linton has finally opened up 4 lanes. We're paving as we're going northbound right now from the north end, from south to north. We'll have 1 lane of that finished paved today, as long as the asphalt plants keep us going. Monday we're scheduled between Monday and Tuesday to get everything finished, to be from the south to the north, north to the south, from about Linton all the way down to the light over the bridge. You might have some intermediate, well, I'll be okay. I'll have some single lane closures as we finish up some sidewalks and landscape sod. But other than that, we'll have it opened up here by midweek.
I think you're ready for today's meeting when you said midweek. Who has any questions about that? Okay, good. We're gonna take these questions because you're talking to the man who's working out there. Who did I see? Okay, good, sir, right here. No, why don't you stand up? I'm gonna here.
When will it reach Atlantic Avenue?
We're in the process now of removing the old pole bases. We're just waiting for the crane to show up. And then we will start. We're actually laying out some curb right now that is over by the Josephs, which gets overbilled. And then we will continue. We had our DOT meeting about 2 weeks ago, and we'll be starting to put the drainage in here as soon as the pole bases and everything come out.
And when do you project that it'll be finished?
Somewhere second quarter of the year. We're thinking around July right now, by the time everything is done.
And the curve will be straightened out, whatever it is?
Yes, that'll be wide open. Yes, it will be.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about, we talked about from Escondido up to Atlantic Avenue. A lot of us here are not in those communities, Valencia Sound, Bay, Cove, Reserve, etc. And we're fighting the intersection of Atlantic Avenue and Lyons Road on a daily basis. Sometimes I even find myself going up to Boynton Beach Boulevard, down and south on Jog just to get around that intersection. The other day, coming back from the Plaza del Rey, which is at that intersection, I counted 60 cars backed up from that intersection on Lyons Road. And this has been a tremendous thorn in our side. Flavor Pick is not going to be built across the turnpike, certainly not in my lifetime. Even though I'm only 39 years old, I just don't see it happening. So I just want to know if we're going to be discussing that particular intersection.
And actually, Mayor, we did get an emailed question on the same intersection relating to the closure of one of the left turn lanes on Atlantic. We get a lot of comments from people asking us to open both turn lanes now. And I thought we could probably address that. Maybe Mo and maybe Tom can help us get some answers on that.
This is exact. The first part of your question, sir, it was about the intersection of Lyons Road and Atlantic Avenue, right? And then the second we'll get into later. We're moving north on Lyons. Okay, so this is we're going to have. And now I see y'all. We're going to have the answer now to the intersection of Lyons Road and Atlantic. Go ahead.
The biggest hurdle we have at this intersection is that we lost one of the 2 westbound left turn lanes, and this is one of the heaviest movements at that intersection. And the reason that we had to close one of the 2 lanes is because we lost one of the 2 receiving lanes for those left turns going south. So due to construction needs, and we are working with the contractor to try to expedite opening and that second receiving through lane going south. And it doesn't have to be the entire length of it, but just the receiving part of it, which could merge downstream. And they are working on that. Probably Tom can give us an estimate on when he thinks that will be done, and that will be the time when we'll be able to open the second left turn lane, which should relieve congestion at that intersection big time.
Yeah, that intersection, like we said, is supposed to be open sometime in July. So what we're going to do is, as soon as we can get the widening portion done on the west side, we'll work with the county and we'll see what we can do to open that up. But we have a lot of work still to do in that. That road comes up about a foot with a lot of asphalt. We have some drainage to still do in that area. That once the pole bases are out, the old mast arms, we'll be able to get going on that work.
Tom, I'm going to ask you to do something for me. Why don't you get up? Can you get up on the stage? Can you just show us exactly? Because this is a big issue.
I thought you asked me to tap
this is a big issue because, huh?
I thought you asked me to tap dance.
No. That may be later. The big issue is we're working with FDOT on Atlantic Avenue. And this probably is the biggest challenge that we have in the county. I want you all to watch this because what we've got, you see right there where Atlantic and Lyons, we have to wait, and they're doing it now. I don't know if you saw last week. They're putting in big arms for the intersection lights on Atlantic. That's the state. They're doing a good job. And if you notice on Clintmore Road, they've begun to take those FP&L poles off and put cement poles in. And this is good because this is all about getting ready for hurricane season. So once they do that, now when you talk about, if you look at the southeast corner where Joseph's Market is, okay, do we have to, is that our job, isn't it, on Lyons Road to fill that in so that people can make a right-hand turn there?
Yes.
Okay.
This all comes up. You drive down there, which I'm sure most of you have, you'll see the new elevation that's out there. Asphalt's sticking up about 1.5 feet. This whole road comes up to a new profile. So it's going to take, the widening is going to take us a bit to get that profile built. That's why we've shifted everybody over and took out that merging lane so that we don't have the accidents there. If we open up those 2 lanes right now, that whole intersection would just be like we're all talking about, a big accident waiting to happen. So that's why we had to do it. Believe me, I drive it. I'm the county. I live and work in the county. I don't like it. I would like to be out of this area just like you guys. I don't want to sit here again and talk to you about it. I'd like to get it finished.
That's why we have you up there, Tom.
We're gonna get
Tom, give me a date. Do we have a date?
What I'm saying is this whole intersection, we're looking at July to be done and out of this area and turning it over to the county.
Okay, all right. Well, just stay right up there.
We'll go ahead and try to get things opened up.
Okay, sir, go ahead. I'm going to get to everybody.
Okay. Hi. Okay. Going back to the Delray Market area, what I understood was when you started there, you didn't realize all the problems of the wiring underneath. I mean, Delray Market was only built about 10 years ago, so I'm surprised that nobody knew before they started what they were. And I got some other thing. The other thing is, you can't get out of the Delray Market and go north on Lyons Road without taking your life in your hands. There's no light there. And I don't know how long the work stopped, but it had to be stopped at least almost a year ago. And we have no starting time again. So other than the person who owns the barrel business, there's no way anybody's really benefiting from this. And we're paying huge taxes, and we're living in a death trap. So maybe you can address a little more on a timeline that we can believe when that work will start, and we'll have a chance to make the turn lanes and be able to get at Delray Market without killing ourselves.
I'd have to pull on.
Hold on just a second. That's a very good point. You want to see me aggravated, I'll show you me aggravated, okay? We should never develop these units without the infrastructure being in, period. Yesterday, I voted no on another GL development that is going on Lyons Road, up by the school, high school, and Century Village. Are we crazy? You know, all these people coming out on Lyons Road, we're not ready for this. So, but the bottom line is this: it's a good developer, GL. They do good quality work, but we cannot keep overdeveloping without the road being placed. I never would have, if I was the county commissioner there, never would have voted for this to come in without the road being ready. But you know what? I'm not looking back. Let's move forward. Let's see what we have and what we can do to make it better and safer. And you have a very good point. We're just going to have to, we said July until that roadway on Lyons and where Joseph's is going to be
whole intersection.
Equal. Okay. With regard to the second one is regard to the light when you come out of Delray Marketplace. And it is scary just going right or left out of the Delray Marketplace. I'm going to turn this over to Mo. Okay.
I have good news on that. Delray Marketplace have already been acting on designing and building that signal. This is their responsibility. It's not taxpayers' responsibility. This is a site-specific, what we call it, improvement. So they have already submitted plans to my staff to review, and they are doing that geotechnical testing for the foundation of the signals, so that we estimate that the plans will be final and approved in 2 months from now, at which point we would recommend to Market Delray Place to hire our annual contractor to build the signal.
No. The timeline is, what we're talking about now is the signal outside of the Delray Marketplace going into Atlantic Avenue, right?
No, into Lyons.
Into Lyons Road. Okay. So what we're looking at, give me a month. Give me a date.
2 months to finish design, and from there on, we have to be realistic. The delivery time for the mast arms is 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So 10 months from now, I think you will have the signal.
Can we hold on just a second, let me ask my engineer. Can we order this now so that while we're looking at the design and
they don't know until they are done with the design, what the size of the mast arms that they will need and the exact location where they will go, which dictates everything else. You cannot order it before you know how long and how tall it needs to be.
So 6 months plus 2, 8 months from now.
Let's say 8 to 10 months from now, we should have the signal operational.
Sure. Go ahead.
We have one lane, the traffic backs up way past Delray Market to make a turn. What's the timeline on that to have at least a second turn lane? I mean, right now it's, again, the same problem. Work stopped about 9 months ago and nothing's been done, and all it's getting is more and more traffic there. And people are coming out of the Delray Market and don't even try to get in. They're making the turn from the right-hand lane. I mean, it's...
Yeah, the whole thing will be done when Tom is done. As he promised in July, the whole intersection construction will be done. When that happens, the intersection will not be congested anymore. We will have enough capacity, we'll have enough lanes, and all of those problems will go away. Until then, we are restricted. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the lanes built to accommodate all of this traffic.
I noticed the median right outside of Delray Marketplace, where you're coming south on Lyons to make the left turn onto Atlantic. That left turn lane only could hold maybe 10 cars. I see the median is being torn up now to perhaps extend that left turn lane to maybe accommodate 20 or 25 cars. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're starting to build the intersection based on the approved construction plan. So we are proceeding now that the new mast arms or the new signals are in that the county did, and we're getting ready to pull these bases out. So we're doing what we can to help speed it along and help the traffic.
Okay, 24/7, right?
I say allow. We were paving till 7 o'clock the other night, which is a no-no, but we'll beg for forgiveness later.
I'm not telling. I know these gentlemen have had their hands up.
The weather is not helping.
Could I go to this gentleman first, and then I'll go to you? Sir, go ahead.
Thanks. I'm certainly no engineer, but I was curious about this. When I'm east, west, north, south. I'm coming up Atlantic Avenue, and I want to go to Joseph's. I have to make a U-turn into oncoming traffic. That is insane. What are you going to do about that?
Well, our plans call for a curb that's going to separate the traffic there. So you won't be able to cut through any of these delineators anymore. You're going to have to do that. So I'll leave that up to the county.
I think I can help answer this question. You are talking about westbound Atlantic to go to Joseph's, right? We could not allow them to have a left turn lane into Joseph's when it was developed because of its proximity to the intersection. It would have been within the staging area for the left turn lanes. However, we just approved, and it's now under construction. I think it's a car wash immediately east of Joseph's that would have a driveway with a left turn lane into it, and they will have cross access with Joseph's. So when that happens, and should happen in a few months from now, you should be able to turn left into that car wash that is being built now and cross from there into Joseph's.
I want to piggyback on what this gentleman just said. If I'm coming from Joseph's or Olive View or anywhere in those two new developments, and I want to piggyback, please leave that up there the way it is. Okay. If you don't mind, I just want to approach this a little closer. So let's just say if we're over at Joseph's, right now the way it is, there's a little cutoff if you make a right going on to Atlantic, going east. And if you go just a little bit, there's a cutoff where you can make a U-turn. Right there, it's unsafe as it is. I'm wondering if, A, there's going to be a traffic light over there, or if you go down a little more south, thinking on a macro level, there's going to be a third development that's made more for commerce. And we love the idea that we have choices for restaurants and stores and shopping. It's building up our development. That's great. But with the infrastructure the way it is there going to be some plans to make either A, again, whether it's the right choice or not, a traffic light maybe a little further down where the new third development will be for the plaza? Or perhaps, again, I'm not into what you guys do, but just throwing a suggestion out. Is there a way where we could go south below where the landscape is, where no one is talking about, and then have it conjoin with whether it's Linton Road or whatever it is, to cut across and then maybe make a traffic light over there to alleviate the traffic that's over by Atlantic and Lyons? Thank you, Maria.
This is what I like, by the way. I like suggestions. Now, if you notice when you go on Lyons Road towards Atlantic, do you see those little dirt roads on the right? I don't want you to get too distracted. One of them is Linton, which goes nowhere. And I won't tell you why. And then there's a couple other, one is 152nd Place South. I want to change the names because these are, if you have any suggestions for names, let me know. Okay? No. And then know where to find me, you see. And then there's another one a little bit farther south, 155th Street. See, this is very smart that you've looked at these, because these dirt roads go south and they end on the turnpike. Now, guess what? There's development going in there. We have a couple of religious organizations going in there. We also have Lyumi. Have you ever heard of Lyumi? Lyumi is on, I think it's 156th Street Court. It's a retreat. It's about 10 acres of retreat for Jewish families. It's a very beautiful area in there. It's very peaceful and quiet. You wouldn't know it exists, and it's a dirt road. I'm not saying go down that road, But if you do, that's what you'll see. And there's landscapers. Now, that's valuable land, and that's already ready for development. I want you to understand this. There will be no shovel in the ground in any of that area until those roads are ready. And the developers were in my office, and I laid the law down. There'll be no development in that area until Lyons Road is finished. Okay? Finished. Thank you. They didn't like it, but that's just the way it is. And I spoke to, is Holy Redeemer still here? Is the minister? Okay. I spoke to the Holy Redeemer's folks. I spoke to St. Mary's Coptic Church. You know where St. Mary's is? And they also are very adamant about this because it's going to be right behind them. Now, what the suggestion is very clever, is that why not take these ancillary roads, okay? We're going to pave them. Actually, they're going to pay for us to pave them because that's the way I do it. You want to develop, you got to pave. If I had been here before, we would have had a lot better Lyons Road. But anyways, looking forward, they're going to pave that. And then it's going to be, who knows, that we could probably, I would like to see a connection so that if you get out of Joseph's, you got a lot of good Italian food, like Lori does. You put it in your, and you're able to go through one of these ancillary roads to cut through the traffic on Lyons. So this is a work in progress. And let me just say this. If you live along Lyons Road, it's been difficult. But your land value will go up as we develop wisely along this area. Because the property values will, your house will go up, the value, as you go along this area, because that's important for people. They don't want to live in a place where they can't get to any, they want to be able to drive to, say, to the churches and synagogues, the mosques. They want to be able to get to Joseph's. There's also one of the best whiskey bars in town. That's what I've heard. I don't know. Warren's, yeah. This guy knows. All right. And there's been some other questions. So that's a good suggestion. Sir.
Yeah, thank you. I've lived here for over 40 years in South Palm Beach County. And in fact, I lived in Timbers of Boca in 1985 when a car came into my backyard, hit my house when I was playing in my backyard with my child. So that's been going on literally for 40 years. The question I have is, I've lived through the expansion of Glades, Yamato, other roads. I've never seen a road that was so poorly expanded. This has been going on for several years, and months go by where not one person is working on the bridge between Seven Bridges and the Bridges, and you don't see anybody working. You just see a million cones out. The roads are dangerous. I've actually had people that I've said, don't even bother to come to my house. It's not safe to drive on the road. We've tried to call your office, never got any explanation. It's been very, very frustrating. I haven't heard anything here during the meeting to explain what happened. I mean, to me, it's like a major negligence.
Thank you, sir, and I like your candor. That's why we have the general contractor here. But let me say this. At the end of this meeting, if you would like to receive direct communication from our engineering department, in other words, you can bypass my office, directly from the engineering department, let me know. Sign up. I have a gentleman in the back. Albert, raise your hand. He'll take your name and contact, and then that way I'll give it to David Ricks, the head of engineering. Now, I'll get there in just a minute. And that way you can get immediate reports as to what the engineering department is doing. Let me take your question to Tom, okay? We're talking Clintmore Road to Atlantic Avenue. Tom? No.
No, we're going to have from about Linton South, by the middle of next week, we should have all those lanes opened up. And we'll have periodic closures to finish sidewalks, sod, that kind of stuff. But right now, southbound is all open. We're working on the northbound side right now.
Tom, do you or Albert? Albert, do you want to explain to everybody, and we can go back on the slide as to why it's taken so long to widen this road. Okay? Go ahead, Albert.
So, yeah.
Identify yourself.
Albert Hoffman, Director of Construction Coordination Division. Tom and I work together to build the road. I'm on the county side, he's the contractor side. There's been a number of delays associated with the work. One big elephant in the room, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but I have to say it, is the pandemic happened during this project. And trying to get the specialized components to go to the intersection, mast arms, traffic control cabinet, even something as simple as conductors, has taken over a year to procure. And Tom has done his due diligence and ordered the materials ahead of schedule, but it's still a year. And we're now in the ending phase of, after they ordered it to now, we're receiving delivery of those materials, so we're able to continue. Another issue that was plaguing the job was unknown utilities through the corridor. When I say unknown utilities, there was an abandoned gas line. Now we know it was abandoned. There was an active gas line, Comcast, AT&T, all the major players that get you your internet, your phones, your electric. FP&L was a big one too. All of those ran down the project and caused delays because because Lyons is such an old road, it's a farmer's road, as the mayor said earlier. The utilities were put in years and years and years ago. I mean, before any of us were here working at the county, the utilities were put in. Some of which were put in without a permit. And you say, wow, how can that happen? Well, it does from time to time. You know, back in the 80s, it was kind of the Wild West. So stuff went in. It wasn't located on our plans when it was designed. We have utility coordination meetings. When we go through that process, we don't know what we don't know. And when we put actual shovels in the ground to put the drainage in per plan, per the design, some stuff was discovered. And we had to work to either move our drainage or move that utility. And some coordination had to happen. It was a little bit of combination of both. And that was also structured around a redesign. Also had to, wait time to get a redesign because stuff like that just doesn't happen very quickly. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope that answered your question. It's a challenge. Yes, I'll get back to that table in a minute. Sir? Here you go.
Norman Wiegand. I live in Valencia Sound. I want to thank Maria for her excellent service. Thank you very much, Maria. But I believe that some of the people up on the stage now have not been very truthful. I can't believe, I've been in the construction business for probably 30 years now, and there's things that I see that are so obviously a result of incompetence. And I don't go for some of the excuses that I'm hearing. The city engineer, the county engineer, that's his job. He should be responsible. Nobody's blaming anybody. Everybody's saying, well, FPL was there, the gas company was there. But little things like the barriers that they're getting from the contractor, those barriers probably, I would bet that the contract stipulates that those barriers should be flashing. There should be batteries in those lights. There's no batteries in those lights. Those lights are not flashing. On a foggy night, nobody sees those things. The reflectors don't work. Sometimes the barriers are on an angle. You can't see them. And I would say that 40% of the people that are driving down that road in the evening are senior citizens. Their eyesight is not very, very good. The striping, I had to call many times to get the striping done on Lyons Road. It wasn't done. There are potholes on Lyons Road. It cost me almost $1,000 to fix a rim on my car for a pothole that was in the road. Nobody did anything. was my expense, and there's still potholes. And I sent pictures of potholes to the engineering department. They're still there, large potholes with debris in there, parts of cars that have fallen off into the potholes. Somebody has to be accountable. When you plan a project, you pay engineers to go and do a feasibility study. They are paid to know what's under those roadways. Have you gone after those people? Have you said, hey, we paid you for this? Have you asked for any compensation? Have you gone after a bond? Have you done anything like that? I doubt it. So I'm asking Ed, have you gone after any of the contractors?
Who are you asking?
Pardon?
Who are you asking?
The county engineer.
Okay.
David, I'm David Ricks, excuse me.
So you raised some valid points. And so, like Albert indicated, we went through a design process and we looked at all the utilities and we coordinated with all the utility companies. And the problem is, just like we just illustrated before, is that some of those utilities were installed without any permits. We didn't know they were there. And so once the contract got started and we dug up, we found out we had to redesign it. And so one of the things, this is not the only project where we've had basically undiscovered utilities. And so what we've now done is that any future projects, we're using ground penetrating radar to go through to re-verify what is there. It's a little more expensive, but that's our basically ultimate verification. And now any project that before we go out to bid, I will personally ask and verify in terms of the utility coordination. And so we've tightened up our process a little bit because this is not the only project that we've ran into basically underground unforeseen stuff. And as you well know, when the contractor starts work, there's a lot of delays involved. And so it's not a perfect system, but we are looking to improve our processes to do that. But definitely we're going to look at all the utilities using that ground penetrating radar for any future projects. And I will personally approve a project, won't approve a project unless that utility detail documentation is done. Because what we found out is that the folks at the utility company, not to cast aspersions, they don't have all the historical knowledge. And then when we go back and using that radar, found out there's stuff that no one knew about. And so we got to do some more homework on that. But it is a challenge, to say the least. So.
And let me ask you another question.
Sure.
Flavor Pick Road, that bridge has taken, you could have built 4 bridges for the time that the bridge on Flavor Pick to 441.
Just 1 second, hold up. Before we get to Flavor Pick, I'm doing this geographically, because I know there's a lot of folks. But I am passing around a document now, and if you want to be on the Special Traffic Advisory Committee, we already have a group from COBRA that's embedded in there. You will get emails directly from the engineering department, and you can ask them questions. If there has been any damage to a vehicle because of contact, I'm an attorney. I'll get you a good attorney on it. No, contact me and we'll see what we can do about it, all right? But if you want to sign up for immediate response updates from David Rick's office, bypassing my office, he'll get it directly to you. But I know there's a number of issues on Flavorbeck. I'm just trying to finish with this one first, and then we'll go further north. Is there anybody here who has a question again? Okay, good. On this between Atlantic and, okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, guys. 3 quick hit and miss kind of questions.
Sure.
I spoke before about a macro level, about the Lyons and Atlantic Avenue section. On a micro level, what is being done for people getting out of Dunkin' Donuts / Joseph / Sicilian Oven to go from that plaza to go south on Lyons Road without any of the headaches for now? What's being done in the next, we'll say, 3 months to be able to circumvent all the traffic that's happening right now? Does anyone have an answer for that?
Well, because basically all the construction going on, you cannot make that left turn. And so you have to make that right turn and go through the intersection and make a U-turn around it. And so there's no quick answer on that. And so the best way is that
have the contractor get his work done, and hopefully we can start making some minor improvements to the intersection. But there's no quick fix to that. So.
It's not what I want to hear, but at least I appreciate the honesty.
Well, no, I'm trying to be honest with you.
Exactly. But going a little further east on Atlantic, is there a way, because there's going to be a new plaza, a third plaza,
right,
heading more towards the turnpike,
right?
Is there going to be a way where this is not going to be more of a cluster?
Okay.
Thank you.
We've got a lot of development going on in Atlantic. I want you to know. And I like it. And I'll tell you what my philosophy is. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I respect that. And I'll get to you in a minute, sir. But my philosophy is I live out west. I live in the Ag Reserve. There is traffic. Every time I get out of my house, I got to get my hair done. I got to go shopping. I've got to go to the doctor's. Where do I go? I go east. I go to Boca. I go to Delray, right? Or I go to Boynton. Now, this has got to stop. The engineering reports, and I'm glad we have some engineers here. The engineering reports that are going on today, studies by some of the top universities that are being used by some of the top cities in this country, is that enough with the suburbs. We've got to get away from the 1950s. I grew up in the 50s. Everybody moved out of the city and we moved into the suburbs. We had a 2-car garage. We had 1 television set. We were all very happy. All right? So those days are over because we're too many people in this country. And we're growing and growing. So what we have to do is we have to bring the cities interconnectivity, they call it. They want the people where the people live to be able to get to our stores, our markets, our fresh markets. My God, we live in the Ag Reserve. I don't need to go to Publix to get blueberries from Costa Rica. I've got blueberries and peppers all over where I live. Those fresh markets need to be where we live. So this interconnectivity is very important. So instead of driving east, let's say you want to see a good show. Where do? You go to Kravis. You go to the Norton Museum. All right? Now, I want to say something because I've been in politics for 10 years. I was your state senator. We are the tax basis for the county, folks. Boca, Delray, Boynton, we are the tax basis for this county. We need to get those services to us. One of the reasons I became a county commissioner is my home. I want to have a cultural center here. I want to have a big, great library here. I want to have parks here. I'd have to take my grandkids to Sugar Sand. So sorry to talk about this. There's going to be development on Atlantic Avenue. It's going to be mixed use. Mixed use means if you're a senior citizen, or if you're not, if you're a boomer or a Gen Z or Gen X, whatever these kids call themselves, you should be able to get out of your townhouse or your condo or your your unit and walk over to a fresh market instead of getting in your car and having to drive. So this is the wave of the future. Either we're going to get with it or we're going to go back to the past and have gridlock. So this is why but let me commit to you this. I will not approve of any development going on to start until Atlantic Avenue is done. I mean, beautiful. And Lyons Road is completed. Okay? None. I sat down with Perdue. Jared Perdue is our new Secretary of Transportation. And he's a young man. And we had a good talk. I talked to him in Tallahassee with his staff. And they understand this. Now, I said he could come down here, but not before Atlantic Avenue. They're starting Atlantic Avenue in a month. So it's going to be a bit of a mess, but that's okay. They're going to move probably a little quicker than we in the county because you got more money. We pay a lot of money for our taxes. So they're going to move quickly, but all those developments that you hear about going on Atlantic and then Boynton, nothing gets going until the road is complete because that's just my philosophy, okay? Now, a gentleman has had his stand up, sir. I'll get with you in a minute.
Maria, it's good to see you. I really appreciate the fact that there's a meeting like this that brings everybody together with different interests. I'm a resident. I came in a little bit late of Seven Bridges, but I also own farmland. I think I'm a farmer. I'm actually a horse, a caballo, as they say, a horse person, right off Lyons Road. And I do it. I was the assistant chief by title, EMS, New York City Fire Department, but I do it for children that are of special needs, specifically autism and others, as well as adults. And so when I hear your property value is going to go up, and I think, oh, your taxes are going to go up. So people need to think there's two sides to that equation. Maybe there's a benefit. The irony of it is originally we had planned to move into Palm City, and we came back to Delray because there was just so much more opportunity, whether it was for shopping and otherwise already. So I think we have a plethora of choices. Being a public safety-minded individual, I agree. If there are lights that are out, they should be operational, particularly for some of the drivers. You know, those are pretty obvious things. And like in New York, there's a controller's office. If you have a pothole injury to your vehicle, there should be a way. That being said, our farm is on Smith Sunday. We don't even have a stop sign at the end of the road. I mentioned it when I came in. It was knocked down. And I have a little concern over the fact that's at the corner of Smith Sunday and Atlantic. I left it with the gentleman outside as well. I have a little concern about the potential. You know, farmland is important. You know, as Commissioner Maria Sachs just made the comment about your produce, locally grown. While I'm not growing produce, you don't want to take all this farmland and turn it into 52 more GL developments. Do I like GL? Yes. Do I live in one? I do. Hopefully, I'm planning on moving on to our farm. But it would be a real shame for Florida to see postage, you know, the Everglades turn into a postage stamp. I think we need to appreciate, even if you're not using it, you're all welcome. Anytime you want to visit, I'll leave my information. But there's something to the rural aspect of Florida that's really beautiful. And if you're not there and you're not seeing it, it's something that you might want to just take a look at. I mean, you know, I was a New Yorker for 40 years. And now, when I am at the farm and I just sit there for a few minutes, it might be a healthy thing for some of you to do to visit, because it changes your breathing, for that matter. You feel better being in a little bit more of a rural environment. I'm not harping on that, but with all of the TDRs taken off of many of the properties, I'm not very enthused about turning everything into a GL development. And the last comment I need to make is I can't thank you enough, and the other commissioners who stood up and respected the vote of the people for the 1999 bond. Because the people spoke, and they said that this was important to them, and to that extent, I might benefit greatly from my value going up. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to give back and to be part of a valued community, and I think you deliver that. If I can make one other comment, we understand the problems with Lyons Road. There was all the infrastructure that was not identified in advance, much of it not even known to be there. It's unfortunate. I see asphalt going in. I wish it was cement. But it costs more money, I understand, and it takes longer. But the truth is, it's wonderful now to drive down the road comfortably. It's a great improvement, and it's unfortunate it takes all this time, but we look forward to it, and I thank you again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, I know you've been, this is an active tape, that's why you're in the front. See, is there anybody who hasn't spoken? Okay, we have a lady in the back. Okay, no, you, gentlemen, I'm sorry. Sherry will skip you for a minute, and I'll get back with you, okay? Sir.
Thank you very much for coming. My name is Lenny Steinbaum. I live in Valencia. Sound, and talking about the intersection of Atlantic Avenue on Lyons going north. I've seen barrels there for the longest time. Some of them are falling apart. You said that in July things will be done there. So can we assume all the barrels will be gone in July?
Yes. 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 Everything will be done. Yes.
Okay. The other thing I want to say about time frames, I've dealt a lot. I know we're not supposed to talk about flavor now. Time frames seem to never be held to a time. If it's July, it's August. If it's August, it's November. What are we doing with our contractors to say, hey, you have a date, get it done? I mean, it seems like every time I hear a date, it's been postponed. Thank you. I hope you have an answer.
Tom, tell you what we're going to do. David, you're saying July?
Yes.
Beginning or end? Shall we say the middle of July?
In July, we'll be off this.
Okay, tell you what. Let's get together in July with Tom. Okay? And when it's done, as I said to other folks along the corridor, we'll have a little bottle of champagne here or two. So, Tom, if there's a problem with finishing in middle of July, will you let David know?
We talk every day with the county on whatever we find that's not on the plans. So we're all in conversation with each other.
Very good. Thank you. We're going to have Barbara and then the gentleman in the back. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you, Mayor. Barbara Roth, Vice President of COBRA. Listening to this, I'm reminded of when I visited then Senator Sachs in Tallahassee many years ago, and she was terrific there. But boy, we could have used you down here. Then I grew up in Florida, and I've seen the development. COBRA represents 55 square miles, but our communities to the west along Lyons Road are the newest communities, and we listen to their concerns. We work with the county, but there's no way that we can speak about the Lyons Road corridor, as we call it, with, first of all, not mentioning that we have a very good relationship with the Alliance of Delray, Lori Vinegar, my colleague over there. We've talked about the danger of the egress from the Delray Marketplace. COBRA works as a team. We have Erwin Cohen, who is the chair of our traffic. I think David Schulzen just left, but he's in one of our member communities, and he corresponds with the traffic department. That's how we get information and we serve our communities. But as you head a little bit further north, Mayor, on Lyons Road, we can't look at that issue without also speaking about Boynton Beach Boulevard. As you well know, we have some projects that are both residential and commercial that will be coming on Boynton Beach Boulevard. And it, sadly, with Acme Dairy Road, and of course the traffic people have heard me on this for a number of years, it is a disaster. And with what will now be dumped, and I use that word, dumped, in that area of the canyons, will affect not only Lyons Road, but Boynton Beach Boulevard, the Joseph Abruzzo Way, which goes behind, and there's a school, and there are fields, and there's a park, and there's going to be a library, and we're grateful for all of that. But the traffic is already untenable. It's going to be downright dangerous, Mayor. So we need relief as Lyons Road feeds into Boynton Beach Boulevard. We need relief for our communities south on Lyons Road. Those communities are the Valencias. And we continue to work with you. But that Acme Dairy Road issue, because it does affect Lyons Road. You know how that, you talk about a relief road. You know, we've been speaking about that for years. Something safe has to be done there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara, and thank you for all you do at COBRA, for all the Valencias. And I know we have a lot of folks here that want to talk about now that we're going to move north on Lyons Road, but we may not be finished with this yet. Does the gentleman in blue, come on up here. By the time I get back there, it'll be 3 minutes already. Come on up here, sir. Identify yourself and give us your question.
Thank you, Maria. I'm here, I represent the cycling community. In March of 2021, my good friend Neil Goldstein was killed on Lyons Road. We need bike lanes throughout the county, signage, There's state law that says you must give, well, it says shall, and I believe it should say it must give a cyclist 3 feet. I know it gets annoying, but cyclists are not going away. This area is growing. You're getting a lot of younger people that cycle, a lot of children. You don't want to see us on the sidewalk. I could tell you horror stories about that. So my big ask is signage and bike lanes.
That is very good. You heard about the accident just a couple of weeks ago. All the cyclists got hit. I'm going to ask our team here. I spoke with FDOT for a segregated bicycle path. Now, I'm not from New York, but I was there a couple of months ago, and I noticed in Manhattan what they've done with the roads is they've taken the parking spaces and they moved them over a lane, and there's one lane only dedicated for bicyclists. Have you ever seen this in other cities? I think it's amazing because these cyclists are businesses. They're delivering food, they're delivering products, and they go fast. But they are separated from the cars by a parking lane. And I have asked FDOT to do that, especially in Atlantic Avenue. We don't have a sidewalk on Atlantic Avenue from Lyons Road east on Atlantic Avenue. You got to be on the highway. So they are working on that, and they're working on getting that segregated so that bicyclists are protected. I would want to see that, and I'm going to ask you, David Ricks. I want to be able to make it so that on Lyons Road, we also have a protected bicycle lane. Because you can't tell me a collision between a bicyclist and an automobile is a fatality. So we've got, and I'm going to really work on this with you. Thank you, sir, for bringing that up. Now, I'm going to take only those questions that concern, I know, Sherry, you're next, and those concern between Moore and Atlantic. Come on up here, Sherry.
Sorry, I forgot this earlier. What's going on with the sidewalk in West Boca on Lyons Road that seems delayed for like 10 years now from 18th Street down to Glades Road?
I think the one that we are focused on between Palmetto Park Road and Glades Road, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we have been working on this for a while. There are several missing gaps in that on both sides. And also there will be a need for a pedestrian bridge over the golf cart, I think, passage in that area. So we funded acquisition of right-of-way for 2 of the segments so that we could then go and try to get a federal grant to build the entire corridor. And that would be several $1 million. But as you know, we cannot qualify for federal and or state grants if we do not own the right-of-way. So we are in the stage of acquiring the right-of-way on 2 segments that are missing. And as soon as we get that,
who owns that land right now?
Several communities, either
Like
residential or the golf course, or there are two different locations where we are working on, and we should be ready next year to apply for a grant. And
then what about a guardrail? I mean, we heard from one gentleman where he is one of the homeowners that had a car in his backyard on Lyons Road that on Dead Man's Curve. That why is there no guardrail?
I think Morton Rose, who is the director of Broadway production, looked at that, and the conclusion was that that does not qualify. Guardrails in themselves are hazards, and so they, depending on the condition, the standards require and or recommend installation of guardrails under certain circumstances. In this case, I don't think it meets the one.
There used to be guardrails, but what about the students that walk to Olympic Heights? I mean, they're walking along a road with no guardrail, but there's no bus service provided. I mean, at least for the students, why would we not have a guardrail? It makes no sense. Commissioner, can you help us get guardrails?
We'll take a look at it.
No. We're not going to take a look at it. We're going to get it done. Sherry, stay after the meeting. we're going to get those sidewalks finished, and we're going to get a guardrail to protect the kids there by Olympic Heights. It's done. Okay, good. Anybody else on this area? I know I've been ignoring you for just a minute because you've already spoken. Yes, ma'am. Come on in. This is a property manager at Meisner Country Club, right? Give us your name.
Hi, my name is Allison Ruprecht. We were promised a turn signal when the road was widened, and I've called your offices and I've spoke with Brent, and it goes on deaf ears. And now we're getting past the entrance of Meisner Country Club, and basically we're being forgotten. Meisner Country Club paid for that signal. In 2018, we paid for it. And I'm not getting any answers. We were supposed to get a turning lane into the left, turning left into Meisner, heading south. And right now we only have our temporary signal unless you've replaced it and overlooked our request and what we paid for.
I'm not sure is the location. Is that Jog Road and Meisner?
No, this is Meisner Country Club at Meisner Country Club Drive and Lyons Road. You skipped it right over when you went from the bridges to the church. Meisner is in between right there, across the street from Stone Creek Ranch.
And you said there's a temporary signal there. I need to talk to you after the meeting to get details on that. And
Okay.
I will take care.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it. This is what the meeting is all about. Anybody from Meisner Country Club, why don't you stay over with her and we will get that done. Anybody else back here on this issue? Otherwise, I'm going to go over to this gentleman that I've ignored up to now. Okay, sir, you're on.
How is it possible it could take you 10 months to put up a traffic signal on Lyons Road near the Delray Market? Why should it take so much time?
Again, the signal on Delray Marketplace
right.
is the responsibility of the plaza owners.
Well, why can't you contact them today and start moving on this?
We are moving on.
Somebody's going to get killed on that location. Yeah. Have you ever been there?
Yeah, we talked about this a little
now, have
earlier.
you ever been in that location?
Yes, of course I did.
When?
2-3 years ago.
Drive down there. Take a look at night, especially when you don't have any lights and people are coming out of there, in and out. Why don't you drive down there?
They are working on the signal.
No, we have to do it now, not in 6 months. Also, I called your office about Boynton Beach Boulevard coming out of the Valencias, the back road, Acme Dairy.
We need to take care of that right away. Stay afterwards. We're going to get that. No, wait, hold on. We're going to call Kite Realty. They're the ones that own Delray Marketplace and they manage it. And they should be doing that now. So at the end of the meeting, let's get the phone number. And in fact, Vivian, call them up right now. Kite Realty, general manager, and let's see what they're going to do about getting us that light. Before we go over to the Valencias, I want everybody who has heard Barbara Roth from Cobra discuss the Valencias. Now we're going to get into the Valencia areas, okay? Go right ahead.
Now, they're going to build multi-family homes there. And I called your office and asked about how you're going to go down there. Go during the day. Maybe somebody could drive down there when the schools are on. And you got to pull over into the dirt to get by there. How are you going to build multi-family homes? Do you know how you're going to widen the road? What are you going to do?
You're talking about Lyons and
no,
across the street.
Acme Dairy near Boynton Beach Boulevard. How are you going to get down the road?
What do you mean?
Have you driven down there?
Yep.
Have you driven down that road?
Yes, I have.
When?
I don't remember exactly, in the last year or so.
Drive down there today. And during school time, in the morning or in the afternoon, and see what the problem.
Our staff are working on that. Actually, Juan is heading a committee that includes the school district.
Well, drive down there today as long as you're here. Take a look at it.
We did the study yesterday.
Yeah. So we are working actively, working on this.
From New York, we do things quickly.
Right. We are working and
we build bridges quickly.
Okay.
Thank you.
What part of New York are you from? Long Island. Okay, good. All right, sir. And now we're going to talk about the Valencias. That Cobra is very concerned. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you. Firstly, the gentleman said that Kite already put in an application for the light. But why does it take 2 months for your department to approve it?
We approved the signal a long time ago. Now they are actively designing the construction so that it could start.
I see.
So they are, and we got blueprints for the design, and we are now reviewing the design. And we expect the design to be completed in 2 months from now. Once the design is completed, then the Delray Marketplace will hire a contractor to build it. And we said also earlier that it takes 6 to 8 months for the mast arms to be manufactured and delivered. So we expect the signal to be in place and operational in 8 to 10 months from now.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to talk about Atlantic going north on Lyons. Lyons going north. I live in Valencia Sound, and Flavor Picked. Everybody's very, very anxious to have Flavor Picked open, but that's going to be a new problem because Flavor Picked is going to take traffic from 441 parallel to Atlantic and Boynton Beach Boulevard. And where does it bring it? It brings it to Lyons. There is no way that intersection of Lyons and Flavor Picked is going to be able to handle the traffic coming from 441 without a traffic light. Has anybody discussed that?
We looked at the projected numbers of traffic turning movements at that intersection once the connection is completed. And at that time, our study showed that there will not be enough traffic to warrant and or require the installation of a traffic signal.
Sir,
that doesn't mean that it's ruled.
Are you a betting man?
What's that?
Are you a betting man? I'll take the bet.
No, but we continue to monitor our intersections. Okay. So what we do is we build and install signals only after we count traffic and we determine that a signal is appropriate based on the federal standards.
And that's why we wait all these years beyond the point when we need it, with all due respect.
Correct, yeah. Putting a signal in place, as we said earlier.
Okay. So now I'm going to take this gentleman's Acme Dairy Road. Acme Dairy Road does not go, it puts traffic onto Boynton Beach Boulevard, and it has no out source on the other side. It goes into Valencia Cove. So all the canyon communities along Lyons Road, where those people can either go on Acme Dairy and up to Boynton Beach Boulevard, or go on to Lyons, they're all going to use Lyons because they want to get away from the traffic that's now going to add, besides the high school, the middle school, that's going to add traffic onto Lyons. And now you're going to now expand, and I have to applaud the mayor. In 2017, they changed the rules. The commission changed the rules that the infrastructure didn't have to be there until after the growth was there. The houses were there, including my house. But now you're going to expand Lyons north of Flavor Picked and expand Lyons south of Flavor Picked. And how are you going to do that without a mess? The mess that you have now is nothing compared to the mess you're going to have when that starts happening. Is that being planned ahead?
David, he's asking about the new future.
Thank you, Joe. I have a question also for our engineering staff. You know, what I'd like to be able to do, if possible, is to purchase these lights and keep them in a warehouse or maybe your garage. And when we need them, we have them immediately. We don't have to wait months and months to get them. So I'm going to look into that to make it a lot easier. Also, there's one other possibility. Instead of an intersection light, there's a lot of communities that opt for roundabouts. And I'd like for you to think about a roundabout. We have them in East Boca by some big condo communities there. They seem to work out well, and we don't have to wait for the lights. And it seems like from engineering reports, you have less accidents on roundabouts. So that may certainly be a possibility. Thank you, Joe, for bringing. Now we have the head of traffic for Cobra. Sir, come on up.
And may I respectfully ask everyone, as the mayor is saying we're now going to move north onto Lyons between Atlantic and Boynton Beach Boulevard. Let's allow the staff to make their reports, and then that'll probably answer 2/3 of the questions that you may be asking. So let the staff proceed, please.
These folks do the best they can, and I appreciate that. We're just doing the best we can. The most important thing is for us to stay informed, and that's why we've passed around that document. A lot of communities have what Cobra has, which is sort of a traffic engineering committee, and you will get direct reports from Dave Eric's office directly to you, so you don't have to go through me. If there's any other questions now on the area of the Valencias, we will have another meeting like this in probably a couple of months, and certainly look at those and see if we're done with the area on Atlantic Avenue. And at that time, what I'd like to do is invite the FDOT engineers here as well, because we're working together, and especially when it comes to bicycle paths. So we're almost at the close, and I just want to, if anybody has anything to say up here, I'm going to pass the microphone around, or Tom, you can go ahead and start. Just say a few words and pass it down, because I think people are beginning to know who you folks are. And Mo, don't tell your wife you've had questions about when you've been at the Delray Marketplace, when you were there, how often you were there, but we won't let anybody know in your family. Okay, go right ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I can feel everybody's pain that's out here. Us as a contractor, I know, gentlemen, you spoke about being a contractor. We strive to be done early. That's when you make your money. You don't make any kind of money being out on a job forever. So if anybody thinks we're just lollygagging out there, it's costing us, the contractor, a lot of money to be there. With the help of the county, though, they've helped us on certain aspects. We want the barrels out. I pay every day for each one of those. So as we are getting there, those barrels will be getting out of there. We'll be taking them out. And we've probably said it 100 times, patience, please. Respect the guys out there working. Somebody yelled at us the other day out at the intersection. We were removing the old-ass mast arms. Can't you do it at night? We probably would have had a death, because everybody's too busy on their phones and they're not watching the traffic. And that's why a lot of the barrels don't have lights. We do every morning we look at those lights. Don't drive on a DOT road, because Palm Beach County is the only county and the only area that uses lights on barrels anymore. So when you get out to the work that we're going to be doing out on Atlantic, there's no lights out there on the barrels. DOT do not want them. They years ago they got rid of them because they became projectiles. But just give us, we will be out of here. Believe me, I don't want to sit in another one of these. I want to be done with it.
I want to thank you guys for the opportunity, for allowing us to speak and to answer your questions. Hopefully, we answered them to your satisfaction. For us as a county, we don't like jobs lingering around like this. It costs my staff money or it costs the county money when it's ever going so long, and my staff has to work on it. It's costing the contractor more money because he's got a daily rate for his MOT and his guys out there on the job site. The best I can say is that the light is at the end of the tunnel here. We are approaching the end of the project. So another few months and we're going to be out of there. So thank you.
thank you again for the opportunity to speak about this project. I know everybody's frustrated, but I will tell you for myself personally, this is my #1 project. I live it and breathe it every day, but we're here to try to get the project done and want to make sure it's done safely, and we appreciate your input and your questions. So just like the mayor indicated, I'll leave my card for anyone you want with my card. You can contact me directly, and we'll get back to you. Any questions or concerns on this project or any future projects.
Thank you for having us, and I want to assure you that we are working hard with our professional staff. We have very good, qualified, and great team of professional engineers and technical people who attend to concerns about traffic, including when traffic lights are needed or stop signs are needed, speed limits, etc., striping, street lighting. All of these things are taken good care of with our professional staff. We also do review and make sure that any new developments approved in the county are vetted for their impact on traffic, and transportation improvements are scheduled in time to meet the need when it arises because of the added traffic from your developments. Thank you.
I too thank you for the time this morning. I wanted to point out the 2 forms of contact on the screen. You can both call our Engineering Action Center and email them. This is staffed all the time, and anytime there's a pothole or a signal out or a street light down, we want to hear about it, and this is the best way to get a hold of our entire department. So please take note of these 2 pieces of information. Thank you.
Thank you so much let's have a little applause for our engineers there. They're really good. And they're going to stay here for a few minutes. So if you've got issues with potholes or a light being out, go up and talk to them right now. But let me just say before I close, Vivian, did we call Kite Realty? And what's happening? Okay, so you all will find out what's going on because we like to get these things done right, done quickly. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe. Our engineers will stay here if you have any specific issues for them. Thank you for being here.